Help me. I'm not in a booty. Sorry, but I can't.
Okay. Alas, so
That made you can read 2 pages.
no.
Sit by you.
Chapter 17.
How many pages would that be? Huh?
20.
I can't stay up that long.
Yes, you can. You wanted to go to sleep later, right? You have no problem. Our tributes have been trees for 40 years under her.
I'm sitting by.
I'd gotten Senna. You look fantastic. Girl talk, that thing I've always been so bad at. Opinions on clothes, hair, makeup, so I lie. Yeah, he's been helping me design my own clothing line. You should see what he can do with velvet. Velvet? The only fabric I could think of off the top of my head. I have, on your tour. That strapless number you wore in District 2? The deep blue one with the diamonds? So gorgeous I wanted to reach through the screen and tear it right off your back, says Joanna. I bet you did, I think. With Joanna. With a few inches of my flesh. While we wait for the elevators, Joanna unzips the rest of her tree, letting it drop to the floor, and then kicks it away in disgust. Except for her forest green slippers, she doesn't have on a stitch of clothing. That's better. We end up on the same elevator with her, and she spends the whole ride to the 7th floor chatting to Peter about his paintings, while the light of his still glowing costume reflects off her bare breast. When she leaves, I ignore him, but I just know he's grinning. I toss aside his hand as the doors close behind Chaff and Cedar, leaving us alone, and he breaks out laughing. What? I say, turning on him as we step out on our floor. It's you, Katniss. Can't you see? He says. What's me? I say. Why they're all acting like this? Finnick with his sugar cubes and Chaff kissing you and that whole thing.
What?
And that whole.
I told Daddy to look at you.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at you dancing.
And that whole thing with Joanna stripping down, he tries to take on a serious tone unsuccessfully. They're playing with you because you're so, you know. No, I don't know, I say. And I really have no idea what he's talking about. It's like when you wouldn't look at me naked in the arena even though I was half dead. You're so pure, he says finally. I am not, I say. I've been practically ripping your clothes off every time there's been a camera for the last year. Yeah, but I mean, for the Capitol, you're pure, he says, clearly trying to mollify me. For me, you're perfect. They're just teasing you. No, they're laughing at me. And so are you, I say. No, Peter shakes his head, but he's still suppressing a smile. I'm seriously rethinking the question of who should get out of these games alive when the other elevator opens. Haymitch and F.A. joins us, looking pleased about something. Then Haymitch's face grows hard. What did I do now? I almost say. But I see he's staring behind me at the entrance of the dining room. Audrey. Thank you. Okay, but it's loud. You can read right over there. Because two of us reading at the same time is hard to hear what's going on.
But I don't want to.
Why'd you come here?
If you roll your eyes at me again, me and you are gonna have a talk.
Get better.
What did I do now? I almost say, but I see he's staring behind me at the entrance to the dining room. Ife blinks in the same direction, then says brightly, looks like they've got you a match set this year. I turn around and find the red-headed Avox girl who tended to me last year until the games began. I think how nice it is to have a friend here. I notice that the young man beside her, another Avox, also has red hair. That must be what F.A. meant by a masked set. Then a chill runs through me, because I know him, too. Not from the capital, but from the years of having easy conversations in the Hob, joking over greasy say soup, and that last day watching him lie unconscious in the square while the life bled out of Gale. Our new Avox is Darius. Hamish grips my wrist as if anticipating my next move, but I am as speechless as the capital's tortures have rendered Darius. Hamish once told me that they did something to Avox's tongue so they could never talk again. In my head, I hear Darius's voice, playful and bright, ringing across the Hob to tease me. Not as my fellow victors make fun of me now, but because we genuinely liked each other. If Gale could see him, I know only move I would make toward Darius, any act of recognition, will not only result in punishment for him. So we just stare into each other's eyes. Darius, now a meat slave, me, now headed to death. What would we say, anyway? That we're sorry for the other's lot? That we ache for the other's pain? That we're glad we had the chance to know each other? No. Darius shouldn't be glad he knew me. If I had been there to stop Thread, he wouldn't have stepped forward to save Gale. Wouldn't be an Avox. And more specifically, wouldn't be my Avox, because President Snow has obviously had him placed there for my benefit. I twist my wrist from Hamish's grasp and head down to my old bedroom, locking the door behind me. I sit on the side of my bed, elbows on my knees, forehead on my fist, and watch my glowing suit in the darkness, imagining I am in my old home in District 12, huddled beside the fire. It slowly fades back to black as the power pack dies out. When Ife eventually knocks on the door to summon me to dinner, I get up and take off my suit, fold it neatly, and set it on the table with my crown. In the bathroom, I wash the dark streaks of makeup from my face. I dress in a simple shirt and pants and go down the hall to the dining room. I'm not aware of much at dinner except that Darius and the redheaded Avox girl are our servers. Ife, Hamish, Cinna, Portia, and Peter are all there talking about the opening ceremony, I suppose. But the only time I really feel present is when I purposely knock a dish of peas to the floor and, before anyone can stop me, crouch down and clean them up. Darius is right by me when I send the dish over. And we two are briefly side by side, obscured from view, as we scoop up the peas. For just one moment our hands meet. I can feel his skin rough under the buttery sauce from the dish. In the tight, desperate clench of our fingers, we are all the words we'll never be able to say. Then Ife clucking at me from behind about how, that isn't your job, Katniss, and he lets go.
Who said that?
Ife?
Ife?
Mm-hmm.
What? Why did she say that in a mean way?
Because that's how she knows, and she lives in the capital. So people in the capital don't realize they're being mean. That's just the way they live. When we go into the Watts, the recap of the opening ceremonies, I wedge myself in between Cena and Hamish on the couch because I don't want to be next to Peter. This awfulness with Darius belongs to me and Gale, and maybe even Hamish, but not to Peter. He might have known Darius to nod hello, but Peter wasn't Hob the way the rest of us were. Besides, I'm still angry with him for laughing at me along with the other victors. And the last thing I want is his sympathy and comfort. I haven't changed my mind about saving him in the arena, but I don't owe him any more than that. As I watch the procession to the city circle, I think how it's bad enough that they dress us all up in costumes and parade us through the streets in chariots on a regular year. Kids in costumes are silly, but aging victors, it turns out, are pitiful. A few who are on the younger side like Joanna and Finnick, or whose bodies haven't fallen into disrepair like Cedar and Brutus, can still manage to maintain a little dignity. But the majority who are in the clutches of drink or morphling or illness look grotesque in their costumes, depicting cows and trees and loaves of bread. Last year we chatted away about each contestant, but tonight there's only the occasional comment. Small wonder the crowd goes wild when Peter and I appear, looking so young and strong and beautiful in our brilliant costumes, the very image of what tribute should be. As soon as it's over, I stand up and thank Senna and Portia for their amazing work and head off to bed. Ife calls a reminder to me early for breakfast to work out our training strategy, but even her voice sounds hollow. Poor Ife. She finally had a decent year in the games with Peter and me, and now it's all broken down to a mess that even she can't put a positive spin on. In capital terms, I'm guessing this counts as a true tragedy. Soon after I go to bed, there's a quiet knock on my door, but I ignore it. I don't want Peter tonight, especially not with Darius around. It's almost as bad as if Gail were here. Gail. How am I supposed to let him go with Darius haunting the hallways? Tongues figure prominently in my nightmares. First I watch Frozen, the helpless while gloved hands carry out the bloody dissection in Darius's mouth. Then I'm at a party where everyone wears masks and someone with a flickering wet tongue, who I suppose is Finnick, stalks me. But when he catches me and pulls off his mask, it's President Snow, and his puffy lips are dripping in bloody saliva. Finally, I'm back in the arena, my own tongue as dry as sandpaper, while I try to reach a pool of water that recedes every time I'm about to touch it. When I wake, I stumble to the bathroom and gulp water from the faucet until I can hold no more. I strip off my sweaty clothes and fall back into bed naked and somehow find sleep again. I delay going down to breakfast as long as possible the next morning because I really don't want to discuss our training strategy. What's to discuss? Every victor already knows what everybody else can do, or used to be able to do anyway. So Peter and I will continue to act in love, and that's that. Somehow I'm just not up to talking about it, especially with Darius standing mutely by. I take a long shower, dress slowly in the outfit Senna has left for training, and order food from the menu in my room by speaking into a mouthpiece. In a minute, sausage, eggs, potatoes, bread, juice, and hot chocolate appear. I eat my fill, trying to drag out the minutes until 10 o'clock, when we have to go down to the training center. By 9:30, Hamish is pounding on my door, obviously fed up with me, ordering me to the dining room now. Still, I brush my teeth before meandering down the hall, effectively killing another 5 minutes. The dining room is empty except for Peter and Hamish, whose faces flutter with drink and anger. On his wrist, he wears a solid gold bangle with a pattern of flames. This must be his concession to Ife's matching token plan that he twists unhappily. It's a very handsome bangle, really, but the movement makes it seem like something confining a shackle rather than a piece of jewelry. You're late, he snarls at me. Excuse me. Sorry, I slept in after the mutilated tongue nightmares kept me up half the night. I mean to sound hostile, but my voice catches at the end of the sentence. Hamish gives me a scowl, then relents. Alright, never mind. Today, in training, you've got 2 jobs. 1, stay in love. Obviously, I say. And 2, make some friends, says Hamish. No, I say. I don't trust any of them. I can't stand most of them, and I'd rather operate with just 2 of us. That's what I said at first, but, Peter begins. But it won't be enough, Hamish insists. You're going to need more allies this time around. Why? I ask. Because you're at the disadvantage. Your competitors have known each other for years. So who do you think they're going to target first? He says. Us. And nothing we're going to do is going to override any old friendship, I say. So why bother? Because you can fight. You're popular with the crowd. That can still make you desirable allies. But only if you let the others know you're willing to team up with them, says Hamish. You mean you want us in the career pack this year? I ask, unable to hide my distaste. Traditionally, the tributes from Districts 1, 2, and 4 join forces, possibly taking in a few other exceptional fighters and hunt down the weaker competitors. That's been our strategy, hasn't it? To train like careers, counters Hamish. And who makes up the career pack is generally agreed upon before the games begin. Peter barely got in with them last year. I think of the loathing I felt when I discovered Peter was with the careers during the last games. So we're to try to get in with Finnick and Brutus? Is that what you're saying? Not necessarily. Everyone's a victor. Make your own pack if you'd rather. Choose who you like. I suggest Chaff and Cedar, although Finnick's not to be ignored, says Hamish. Find someone to team up with who might be of some use to you. Remember, you're not in a ring full of trembling children anymore. These people are all experienced killers, no matter what shape they appear to be in. Maybe he's right. Only who could I trust? Cedar, maybe. But do I really want to make a pact with her, only to possibly have to kill her later? No. Still, I made a pact with Rue under the same circumstances. I tell Hamish I'll try, even though I think I'll be pretty bad at the whole thing. Ife shows up a bit early to take us down because last year, even though we were on time, we were the last two troops to show up. But Hamish tells her she doesn't want her taking us down to the gym. None of the other victims will be showing up with a babysitter, and being the youngest is even more important we look self-reliant. So she has to satisfy herself while taking us to the elevator, fussing over our hair, and pushing the button for us. It's such a short ride that there's no real time for conversation. But when Peter takes my hand, I don't pull it away. I may have ignored him last night in private, but in training we must appear as an inseparable team. Ife needn't have worried about us being the last to arrive. Only Brutus and the woman from District 2 in Inabaria are present. Inabaria looks to be about 30, and all I can remember about her is that in hand-to-hand combat, she killed one tribute by ripping open his throat with her teeth. She became so famous for this act that after she was a victor, she had her teeth cosmetically altered so each one ends in a sharp point like a fang and is inlaid with gold. She has no shortage of admirers in the capital. By 10 o'clock, only about half of the tributes have shown up. Atala, the woman who runs training, begins her spiel right on time, unfazed by the poor attendance. Maybe she expected it. I'm sort of relieved because that means there are a dozen people I don't have to pretend to make friends with. Atala runs through the list of stations, which include both combat and survival schools, and releases us to train. I tell Peter I think we'd do best to split up, thus covering more territory. When he goes out to check spears with Brutus and Chad, I head over to the knot tying station. Hardly anyone ever bothers to visit it. I like the trainer, he remembers me fondly, maybe because I spent time with him last year. He's pleased when I show him I can still set the trap that leaves and then me dangling by a leg from a tree. Clearly he took note of my snares in the arena last year and now sees me as an advanced pupil. So I asked him to review every kind of knot that might come in handy and a few that I'd probably never use. I'd be content to spend the morning alone with him, but after about an hour and a half, someone puts his arms around me from behind, his fingers easily finishing the complicated knot I've been sweating over. Of course it's Finnick, who seems to have spent his childhood doing nothing but wielding tridents and manipulating ropes into fancy knots for nets, I guess. I watch for a minute while he picks up a length of rope, makes a noose, and then pretends to hang himself for my amusement. Rolling my eyes, I head over to another vacant station where tributes can learn to build fires. I already make excellent fires, but I'm still pretty dependent on matches for starting them. So the trainer has me work with flint, steel, and some charred cloth. This is much harder than it looks, and even working as intently as I can, it takes me about an hour to get a fire going. I look up with a triumphant smile, only to find I have company. The two tributes from District 3 are beside me, struggling to start a decent fire with matches. I think about leaving, but I really want to try to using the flint again, and if I have to report back to Hamish that I try to make friends, these two might be a bearable choice. Finish your animal crackers. Go finish your animal crackers. Where am I? Both are small in stature with ashen skin and black hair. The woman, Waris, is probably around my mother's age and speaks in a quiet, intelligent voice. But right away I notice she has a habit of dropping off words in mid-sentence, as if she's forgotten you're there. BT, the man, is older and somewhat fidgety. He wears glasses but spends a lot of time looking under them. They're a little strange, but I'm pretty sure neither of them is going to try to make me uncomfortable by stripping naked. And they're from District 3. Maybe they can't even confirm my suspicions of an uprising there. I glance around the training center. Peter is at the center of a a circle of knife throwers. The morphlings from District 6 are on the camouflage station, painting each other's face with bright pink swirls. The male tribute from District 5 is vomiting wine on the sword-fighting floor. Finnick and the old woman from his district are using the archery station. Joanna Mason is naked again and oiling her skin down for a wrestling lesson. I decide to stay put. Waris and BT make decent company. They seem friendly enough but don't pry. We talk about our talents. They tell me they both invent things, which makes my supposed interest in fashion seem pretty weak. Wires brings up some sort of stitching device she's working on. It senses the density of the fabric and selects the strength, she says, and then becomes absorbed in a bit of dry straw before she can go on. The strength of the thread, BT finishes explaining, automatically. It rules out human error. Then he talks about his recent success creating a musical chip that's tiny enough to be concealed in a flake of glitter but can hold hours of songs. I remember Octavia talking about this during the wedding shoot, and I see a possible chance to allude to the uprising. Oh yeah, my prep team was all upset a few months ago, I think, because they couldn't get a hold of that, I say casually. I guess a lot of orders from District 3 were going and backed up. BT examines me under his glasses. Yes. Did you have any similar backups in coal production this year? He asks. No. Well, we lost a couple of weeks when they brought in a new head peacekeeper and his crew. But nothing major, I say. To production, I mean. 2 weeks sitting around your house doing nothing just means 2 weeks of being hungry for most people. I think they understand what I'm trying to say. That we had no uprising. Oh, that's a shame, says Wirus in a slightly disappointed voice. I found your district very... She trails off, distracted by something in her head. Interesting, feels BT. We both did. I feel bad knowing that their district must have suffered much worse than ours. I have to defend my people. Well, there aren't very many of us in 12, I say. Not that you know it nowadays by the size of the peacekeeping force, but I guess we're interesting enough. As we move over to the shelter station, Wire stops and gazes up at the stands where the game makers are roaming around, eating and drinking, sometimes taking notice of us. Look, she says, giving her head a slight nod in their direction. I look up and see Plutarch Heavensby in the magnificent purple robe with the fur-trimmed collar that designates him as head game maker. He's eating a turkey leg. I don't see why this merits comment, but I say, yes, he's been promoted to head gamekeeper maker this year. No. There by the corner of the table. You can just, says Wirus. BT squints under his glasses. Just make it out. I stare in that direction, perplexed. But then I see it. A patch of space about 6 inches square at the corner of the table seems almost to be vibrating. It's as if the air is rippling in tiny visible waves, distorting the sharp edges of the wood and a goblet of wine someone has set there. A force field.
What? Mommy made me drink it.
You drinking it with a straw? Are you serious?
Yes.
There's nothing in there, dude. No, you're just making bubbly sounds.
I'm just drinking.
Yeah, drink it. I said enough. Drink it like this now. That bubbly, that sound is annoying.
Annoying?
I have your plate coming, Francis. I see you just keep looking at my plate. I got you covered.
Oh, I was just gonna argue. But I did look at it a couple times.
I know.
A force field. They've set up one between the game makers and us. I wonder what brought that on, BT says. Me, probably, I confess. Last year I shot an arrow at them during my private training session. BT and Wireless look at me curiously. I was provoked. So do all force fields have a spot like that? Chink, says Wireless vaguely. In the armor, as it were, finishes BT. Ideally it'd be invisible, wouldn't it? I want to ask them more, but lunch is announced. I look for Peter, but he's hanging out with a group of about 10 other victors. So I decide just to eat with District 3. Maybe I can get Caesar to join us. When we make our way into the dining area, I see some of Peter's gang have other ideas. They're dragging all the smaller tables to form one large table so that we all have to eat together. Now I don't know what to do. Even at school, I used to avoid eating at a crowded table. Frankly, I'd probably have sat alone if Mavs hadn't made a habit of joining me. I guess I'd have eaten with Gail, except being 2 grades apart, our lunch never fell at the same time. I take a tray and start making my way around the food, land in carts that ring the room. Peter catches up with me at the stool. How's it going? Good. Fine. I like the District 3 victors, I say. Wires and BT? Really? He asks. It's something of a joke to the others. Why does that not surprise me? I say. I think of how Peter was always surrounded at school by a crowd of friends. It's amazing, really, that he ever took any notice of me except to think I was odd. Joanna's nicknamed them Nuts and Volts, he says. I think she's nuts and he's volts. And so I'm stupid for thinking they might be useful because of something Joanna Mason said while she was oiling up her breast for wrestling, I retort. Actually, I think the nickname's been around for years. And I didn't mean that as an insult. I'm just sharing information, he says. Well, Wires and BT are smart. They invent things. They could tell by sight that a force field had been put up between us and the game makers. And if we have to have allies, I want them. I tossed the ladle back in the pot of stew, splattering us both with the gravy. What are you so angry about? Peter asked, wiping the gravy from his shirt front.
Gravy?
Yeah, they were getting food. Because I teased you on the elevator? I'm sorry. I thought you would just laugh about it. Forget it, I say with a shake of my head. It's a lot of things. Darius, he says. Darius, the games, Hamish making us team up with the others, I say. It can't just be you and me, you know, he says. I know, but maybe Hamish is right, I say. Don't tell him I said so, but he usually is where the games are concerned. Well, you can have final say about our allies, but right now I'm leaning toward Chaff and Cedar, says Peter. I'm okay with Cedar, not Chaff, I say. Not yet, anyway.
Not Chap?
Chaff.
Who? He's the bully one?
No, he's Hamish's friend.
Then which one is the bully one?
The bully one? Oh,
That's mad, that's a good fighter in the Hunter game.
Oh, Finnick is a good fighter. He's not really a bully though.
But are they against them?
Yeah. But they're trying to find out who they could make their friends to help them win in the arena. Or at least get closer to winning. Huh?
In this game?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Not the second one, the first one. It was so good.
Mm-hmm. Chav doesn't seem as bad at lunch. He's sober, and while he talks too loud and makes bad jokes a lot, most of them are at his own expense. A bad joke is like something that's not funny.
But you think it's funny.
Yeah. Mommy makes a lot of those.
Ah, rude!
Mommy
You
be
mean
saying
daddy?
jokes, but she's not that funny.
Daddy
She's
thinks
a bad
she's
joke.
funny, but he's really not. So like daddy's corny jokes, okay? That's what it is.
Anyway, he's sober while he talks too loud and makes bad jokes a lot. Most of them are at his own expense. I can see why he would be good for Hamish, whose thoughts run so darkly. But I'm still not sure I'm ready to team up with him. I tried hard to be more sociable, not just with Chad, but with the group at large. After lunch, I do the edible insect station with the District 8 tributes. Cecilia, who's got 3 kids at home, and Wolf, a really old guy who's hard of hearing and doesn't seem to know what's going on, since he keeps trying to stuff poisonous bugs in his mouth. I wish I could mention meeting Twill and Bonnie in the woods,
I'm gonna warn
but I can't figure out.
I farted.
You know what's funny?
What?
I farted too.
Ew, you're disgusting. Let me get out of this table. Y'all are disgusting.
That's funny. That's funny, man.
That's disgusting. This is disgusting.
Oh yeah.
You wasn't gonna say nothing if nobody didn't say anything?
Huh?
Nasty self.
I could mention meeting Twill and Bonnie in the woods, but I can't figure out how. Kashmir and Gloss, a sister and brother from District 1, invite me over and we make hammocks for a while. They're polite but cool, and I spend the whole time thinking about how I killed both the tributes from their district, Glimmer and Marvel, last year, and that they probably knew them and might even have been their mentors. Both my hammock and my attempt to connect with them are mediocre at best. I joined Nabara at sword training and exchanged a few comments, but it's clear that neither of us wants to team up. Finnick appears again when I'm picking up fishing tips, but mostly just trying to introduce me to Mags, the elderly woman who's also from District 4. Between her district accent and her garbled speech, possibly she's had a stroke. I can't make out more than 1 in 4 words, but I swear she can make a decent fish hook out of anything. A thorn, a wishbone, an earring. After...
I think in District 11
No, they're at the capital right now, training, remember?
for the games
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm. We're going in the games again. After a while, I tune out the trainer and simply try to copy whatever Max does. When I make a pretty good hook out of a bent nail and fasten it to some strands of my hair, she gives me a toothless smile and an unintelligible comment. I think I might be praised. Suddenly, I remember how she volunteered to replace the young hysterical woman in her district. It couldn't be because she thought she had any chance of winning. She did it to save the girl, just like I volunteered last year to save Prim. And I decided I want her on my team. Great. Now I have to go back and tell him, Mitch, I want an 80-year-old and nuts and bolts for my allies. He'll love that. So I give up trying to make friends and go over to the archery range for some sanity. It's wonderful there, getting to try all the different bows and arrows. The trainer, Tax, seeing that the standing targets offer no challenge for me, begins to launch these silly fake birds high into the air for me to hit. At first it seems stupid, but it turns out to be kind of fun. Much more like hunting a moving creature. Since I'm hitting everything he throws up, he starts increasing the number of birds he sends airborne. I forget the rest of the gym and the victors and how miserable I am and lose myself in the shooting. When I managed to take down 5 birds and run round, I realize it's so quiet I can hear each one hit the floor. I turn to see the majority of the victors have stopped to watch me. Their faces show everything from envy to hatred to admiration. After training, Peter and I hang out, waiting for Hamish and F.A. to show up for dinner. When we're called to eat, Hamish pounces on me immediately, so at least half the victors have instructed their mentors to request you as an ally. I know it can't be your sunny personality. Thank you.
Sunny personality?
They saw her shoot.
That mean? I never heard of
Oh, sunny personality. He's it's like people personalities, like who that person is, how they act, how they talk to other people. So he's saying sunny personality is like they're very like nice and they talk to people. They say hi. They're always smiling.
and being nice.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you eating by drinking? 1, 2, 3, 4.
They saw her shoot, says Peter with a smile.
Hey.
Actually, I saw her shoot for real for the first time. I'm about to put in a formal request myself. You're that good? Hamish asked me. So good that Brutus wants you? I shrugged. But I don't want Brutus. I want Mags in District 3. Of course you do. Hamish shies and orders a bottle of wine. I tell everybody you're still making up your mind. After my shooting exhibition, I still get teased some, but I no longer feel like I'm being mocked. In fact, I feel as if I'm somehow been initiated into the victor's circle. During the next 2 days, I spent time with almost everybody headed for the arena. Even the morphlings who, with Peter's help, paint me into a field of yellow flowers. Even Finnick, who gives me an hour of trident lessons in exchange for an hour of archery instruction. And the more I come to know these people, the worse it is. Because, on the whole, I don't hate them, and some I like, and a lot of them are so damaged that my natural instinct would be to protect them. But all of them must die if I am to save Peter. The final day of training ends with our private sessions. We each get 15 minutes before the game makers to amaze them with our skills. But I don't know what any of us might have to show them. Okay. There's a lot of kidding about it at lunch, what we might do. Sing, dance, strip, tell jokes. Mags, so I can understand a little better now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Decides she's going to take a nap. I don't know what I'm going to do. Shoot some arrows, I guess. Hamish said to surprise him if we could, but I'm fresh out of ideas. As the girl from 12, I'm scheduled to go last. The dining room gets quieter and quieter as the tributes file out to go perform. It's easier to keep up the irreverent, invincible manner we've all adopted when there are more of us, as people disappear from through the door. All I can think is that they have a matter of days to live. Peter and I are finally left alone. He reaches across the table to take my hands. Decided what to do for the game makers yet? I shake my head. I can't really use them for target practice this year with the force field up and all. Maybe make some fish hooks. What about you? Not a clue. I keep wishing I could bake a cake or something, he says. Do some more camouflage, I suggest. If the Morphlings have left me anything to work with, he says wryly. They've been glued to that station since training started. We sit in a silence a while and then I blurt out the thing that's on both of our minds. How are we going to kill these people, Peter? I don't know. He lays his forehead down on our entwined hands. I don't want them as allies. Why do Hamish want us to get to know them, I say. It'll make it so much harder than last time. Except for Rue, maybe. But I guess I never really could have killed her anyway. She was just too much like Prim. Peter looks up at me. His brow creased in thought. Her death was the most despicable, wasn't it?
Okay.
None of them were very pretty, I say, thinking of glimmers in Cato's end. They called Peter, so I wait by myself. 15 minutes passed. Then half an hour.
15 minutes, Pat.
Then half an hour.
Is that-
Half an hour is 30 minutes.
Is that 2 weeks and 1 minute for 15 minutes?
30 minutes is.
No. 2 weeks is days, dude. That's 14 days. I see what you did there. 14 days in 1 minute. So you can't mix days in 1 minute and minutes together.
So, how many weeks is it gonna take to go to 30?
No, 30 minutes. There's no weeks.
I'm
Weeks
just asking, not about that.
I know. I'm saying like minutes and days. Minutes add up to days. You understand? So your question is how many weeks to get to 30 minutes? But
No, 30 days.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks and 2 days.
I was forgetting for 4 days.
It's close to 40 minutes before I'm called. When I go in, I smell the sharp odor of cleaner and notice that one of the mats have been dragged to the center of the room. The mood is very different from last year's when the game makers were half drunk and distractedly picking at tidbits from the banquet table. They whisper among themselves, looking somewhat annoyed. What did Peter do? Something to upset them? I feel a pang of worry. That isn't good. I don't want Peter singing himself out as a target for the game maker's anger. That's part of my job. To draw fire away from Peter.
Can I read this one?
Yeah, but how did he upset them? Because I'd love to do just that and more. To break through the smug veneer of those who use their brains to find amusing ways to kill us. To make them realize that while we're vulnerable to the Capitol's cruelties, they are as well. Do you have any idea how much I hate you, I think?
Oh!
You,
Who said that?
Katniss. She doesn't say that to them. Listen, it says, do you have any idea of how much I hate you? I think so. She's thinking it. You who have given your talents to the games. I try to catch Plutarch's Heaven Bee's eye, but he seems to be intentionally ignoring me, as he has the entire training period. I remember how he sought me out for a dance, how pleased he was to show me the Mockingjay on his watch. His friendly manner has no place here. How could it when I'm a mere tribute and he's the head game maker? So powerful, so removed, so safe. Suddenly I know just what I'm going to do. Something that will blow anything Peter did right out of the water. I go over to the knot tying station and get a length of rope. I start to manipulate it, but it's hard because I've never made this actual knot myself. I've only watched Finnick's clever fingers and they move so fast. After about 10 minutes, I've come up with a respectable noose. I drag one of the target dummies out into the middle of the room and, using some chinning bars, hang it so it dangles by the neck. Tying his hand behind his back would be a nice touch, but I think I might be running out of time. I hurry over to the camouflage station where some of the other tributes, undoubtedly the Morphings, have made a colossal mess. But I find a particular container of blood red berry juice that will serve my needs.
The flesh colored fabric of the dummy skin makes a good, I have to put some,
Absorbent
absorbent
canvas.
canvas.
Hold your breath. Oh, I'll finish reading. Try to hold yeah for the. I'll drink some water too. I carefully finger paint the words on its body, concealing them from view. Then I step away quickly to watch the reaction on the game makers' faces as they read the name on the dummy. Seneca Crane. Ooh la la.
I'm going back home.
I can't read it because that's just
Yeah. Alright, so we got 10 more chapters. Chapter 7.
Daddy, Mommy, we got 10 more chapters.
10 more chapters?
Yep, we're on chapter 17.
It's 27 chapters?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a long book.
No, it did that in the first book too. Did you know that?
Nope, I did not. But now I know.
I have Mommy today to buy a puppy.
Będę się zabawać.
Okay.
Streaming this USA insurance payments over the next 12 months. So they can keep more cash in their pockets when it matters most. Find out at USA.com.
Go wash your hands.
Oh, snap. Dang, he hit it with one. Look. Dang, that was on the head. Oh! That was a close one, right, Daddy? Good thing he didn't land on his feet. He lost the football too.
Okay.
He lost the football too, Daddy.
You know?
Whoosh. Boom. With that soda, man. You did that with the soda. Oh, yeah. He did not see that coming. Wow.
I can sit down if I want to.
Dang. Ooh. Oh. Ooh, we was running fast, but ooh, oh my God, how did he do that? Oh, look, ooh, come on, man, oh, come on. Daddy,
Yeah, don't touch me.
oh! He didn't even catch that.
parce que si nous pas gagner nous-mêmes, et nous pas rien dans la vie ça. Bon Dieu, moi bénis tout le monde qui est là. Bon Dieu, Monday, one more thing, God. Thank you for the young kids that's here today, God. You know, God, it's hard, I know. But they need to make you the Lord of their life. Oh, God, thank you. Thank you so much, God. We ask this Monday tout ça. Non, non, petit tout. Amen. Ok, na appelé Madame Bédémé pour venir chanter pour nous, ok? Vous nous campez, ok? Nous pas chanter, campez. Okay, gentlemen, stand up. We're gonna sing to the Lord. You know, you come here to the church. I know it's a tough time, but you come to worship God. Nous venons là pour bénir mon Dieu. Donc, tout le monde qui met tête, mettez toute voix nous, ok? N'a bon Dieu gloire. Ok. Ule wosa, mbate nous. Ule wosa, temba un côté pour moi passer à elle tomber. Yo pas connaît qu'ati yo fait pour battre. Yo sel bagay, yo te priye. Pas jamais commencer pour li pas fini. Verset ou les roses là.
Oh, okay. I know how to get you away from me. All I gotta do is put it up, and you out.
Hey, bassman, come on, jouez. Pas bouger quoi, jouez. Israël est tombé, blablabla. Yo pas connaît quel coup yo fait yo matin. Yo c'est bagay, yo te prié. Par les bases. You're funny, man. You're funny.
That's too much Maggi and too much salt. I gotta stop salad.
It's your fault.
Oh, it's my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm solid. I gotta. It's my fault. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Distracting me.
Oh, I'm distracting you.
Pourquoi on est pas capable de bouillir, whatever. It's spicy, you know. Bon Dieu, pas comme commencer pour y pas fini. Machão. Oubliez, teu terreno, né? Tá na calma, ele era carpão. Já sabe montinho? Ele veio de Lavini por um? Lavini por tudo que eu sei. Tudo. Amen na igreja, amen? Hey! Yeah, I can't remember what they used to call the people that sang, like the song leaders.
Song leaders?
Yeah, clear. Oh, dang, I don't want to sit over there. I need it.
Lead what?
Okay, I need to finish work. Ooh, I can bring that over here. Enjoying my life.
Em ba có trâu họ ti lu 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 lu. Để ba con thương không phải của vị pháp.
Đi